Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Made Easy. My name is Mike.
And I'm Ali. It's great to be back with you all.
And today's topic is something that everyone in a big city has to think about: getting around. We live in London, which is a huge city, and we actually have very different ways of traveling.
That's so true. I am a public transport user through and through. The bus, the tube, that's my world. But you, Mike, you're a driver, right?
I am. I have a car and I drive most places. I think people listening might be surprised to hear that someone who lives in London actually drives.
I'm surprised. It sounds a bit stressful to me. So let's start there. Why do you choose to drive in a city that's famous for its traffic jams?
That's a fair question. Well, for me, it's mostly about convenience and freedom. I don't live right next to a tube station, so if I wanted to go somewhere, it's not as simple as just hopping on the train.
Ah, right, the last mile problem.
Exactly. I'd have to take a bus to the train, then the train, and maybe another bus on the other end. It can turn a simple trip into a whole expedition. In the car, I just get in and go.
I can understand that. The door-to-door service is nice, but what about the traffic? I see the queues of cars from the top deck of the bus, and I feel so glad I'm not in one of them.
Oh, the traffic is definitely the biggest downside. It can be a nightmare. You have to plan everything meticulously. You can't just decide to drive across central London at 5 p.m. on a Friday.
That would be a mistake.
You'd be stuck for hours. You learn to avoid the busiest times, what we call rush hour. I remember trying to get to a friend's birthday dinner once. Maps said it would take 40 minutes. It took me almost 2 hours.
Oh no.
Yeah, I just sat there in gridlock, watching buses and cyclists fly past me. It was painful.
And what about parking? Finding a parking space seems like an impossible task.
It's not easy, and it can be very expensive. That's another major con or negative point. And it's not just parking. In central London, drivers have to pay something called the congestion charge.
Right, that's a daily fee, isn't it?
It is. It's a fee for driving in the city center during certain times. It's a way to encourage people to use public transport instead.
Right, it's all adding up. The petrol, the tax, the insurance, the congestion charge, it sounds costly.
It is. You definitely don't drive in London to save money. But for me, the freedom is worth it sometimes, like doing a big weekly food shop or visiting friends who live outside the main transport zones. It just makes those kinds of trips much, much easier.
I'll give you that. Carrying heavy shopping bags on a crowded tube is not my favourite activity. For me, though, the benefits of public transport are bigger.
Go on then, sell it to me. What's so great about the London Underground?
Well, first of all, it's fast. When it's running smoothly, you can get across the city much quicker on the tube than in a car.
Because there's no traffic.
Exactly. No traffic underground. I can get from one side of London to the other in under an hour pretty reliably.
Okay, that's true. Speed is a big plus.
And it's much cheaper. I pay with my contactless card, and there's a daily cap, which means I'll never pay more than a certain amount, no matter how many journeys I make. Plus, I don't have to worry about finding a parking space.
I have to admit, I do get jealous when I'm circling a block for the 10th time looking for parking.
Exactly, and I get to use the travel time for myself. I can read a book, listen to a podcast like this one, or just relax and people watch.
That's a good point.
I find driving very stressful. You have to concentrate all the time. On the train, my mind can switch off a bit.
But it's not all perfect, is it? What about the crowds? Every time I've been on the tube during rush hour, it's been completely packed. It's like you're a sardine in a can.
Oh, definitely. That is the absolute worst part. It's a real London skill, learning how to navigate the crowds. You have to do the polite but firm. Excuse me, sorry, coming through. Shuffle just to get off at your stop.
I can imagine.
And in the summer, the central line can feel like the hottest place on earth. And it's so crowded you can barely move. And sometimes there are delays or strikes, and your whole journey is disrupted. So no, it's not perfect.
And what about the buses? I always think the red double-decker buses are such an iconic part of London. Do you use them much?
I love the bus. If I'm not in a hurry, I'll often take the bus instead of the tube. You get to actually see the city, which is beautiful. The other day, I took the number 11 bus, which goes past so many famous landmarks. It's like an unofficial tourist route.
For the price of a single fare.
Exactly. And sitting on the top deck at the front is one of the best ways to see London, in my opinion. It's slower, but much more scenic.
I think we can agree that both methods have their pros and cons. My car gives me freedom, but costs a lot of money and stress. Your public transport journey is cheaper and faster, but can be uncomfortably crowded. That's a lovely image. But there is another way to see the city up close and personal, and it's much better for your health too. What about cycling? I see more and more people on bikes these days.
Exactly. The best way to travel really depends on where you're going, what time of day it is, and how much shopping you have to carry. Oh, cycling! Yes, it's become hugely popular. The city has been adding a lot of new cycle superhighways, which are dedicated bike lanes. I have a few friends who swear by it. They say it's the fastest and most reliable way to get to work.
Well said. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. So whether you drive, take the train, the bus, or cycle, getting around a city is a big part of daily life. Faster than the tube even? I can see that. You're not waiting on a platform and you can often take more direct routes. Plus, you get your daily exercise in at the same time. I've thought about it myself actually.
We hope you enjoyed our chat and maybe learned a few new words. It's always useful to be able to talk about transport. Think about how you get around your own town or city.
Before we finish, Ali, I think it would be great to go over a few of the interesting words and phrases we used today.
Great idea, Mike. Let's do a quick vocabulary recap. First, we had through and through, which means completely or in every way. I said I'm a public transport user through and through. Next, downside, which is another word for disadvantage. The traffic is the biggest downside to driving. Then we had meticulously, which means doing something very carefully and with great attention to detail. You said you have to plan your car journeys meticulously. After that, I mentioned gridlock, which is a situation where traffic is so heavy that vehicles cannot move. And finally, iconic, which means very famous and representative of a certain place or time. The red double-decker buses are an iconic part of London.
Thanks so much for listening to English Made Easy today. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. We'll be back next time with another everyday conversation.
Until then, bye for now.